What are you? Who are you? Tell me your secrets! What? Oh yes, my fellow hunters, excitement is the theme of, well, just every second of every day until Alatreon and his new Barioth friend comes to play. And that new Barioth friend is the subject of this video, for we are going to use advanced techniques, some secret knowledge to work out exactly what this Barioth is. Using all of our analytical, theoretical might, we shall learn the truth. So, Barioth then. Barioth has only ever had one official alternate version in the form of Sand Barioth. So I think we can cross that off the old possibility list, given that, you know, he's in a bloody blizzard, which would have any given Sand Barioth be more of a, freezing to death Barioth. So, what do we know? What are the facts? Well, a while ago, but not long enough that we need a flashback, stop it, there was a little bit of a leak which had us have this icon. An icon found in the game's files, and an icon that very much is a Barioth covered in what looks to be ice, which of course led everyone to believe maybe Frozen Barioth, which is a non-canon version of Barioth from Explore, which has a little bit of a poison infusion and a twist up on his frosty power, but this would be weird to say the least. I made a video discussing it because if you put in that monster, then suddenly every monster from every Monster Hunter game is viable, from Frontier, from Online, so on and so forth, and that starts to get a bit messy. That opens up a whole can of monster worms that really should probably stay closed. So while it's entirely possible Frozen Barioth perhaps the inspiration, the one that we're going to get, the one teased, is, let's be honest, going to be, well, its own thing, and probably its own ridiculous thing. Just look at what they did to Raging Brachydios. There is no such thing as a new monster added to Iceborne that isn't just insanity with what it can do. And this guy is all about the ice, so I'm going to assume we're going to end up with like Frost Saber, or Icicle Fang, or I don't know, Chili Fur Barioth. Maybe not that last one, but that is the kind of theme that I see happen here. I mean, he is being teased in a blizzard storm of snow. So let's have as much of a, you know, look as we can. And by that I mean this. It's very hard to see any detail when it comes to our teased new friend, but the thing that stands out to me is twofold. Number one, he is much bluer. He is definitely got more of that icy tint, that slight blue hue, compared to the more pure white of regular Barioth. And while a little bit might be a side effect of me trying my best to get a little peek here, I definitely think we are in for a slight colour alteration, but only slight, which definitely I think crosses subspecies off the list, but then again, that's still crossed off the list because that would just be anticlimactic and nowhere near powerful enough at this point. The other thing is the slight bit of almost strandy hair near his right eye. That's not present on normal Barioth. So it's whether that this guy, and you can kind of see it more around him, he looks almost fluffier. So either he is like a super woolly Barioth, a deep snow, deep ice, Arctic survival Barioth from temperatures way colder than even the Hoarfrost Reach we're used to, and that's how they have developed, that's what they have become, or they are ice strands. They are pulling an almost volcanery coating, where he essentially has kind of a grass-type look, but made out of ice, coating his body. That kind of makes sense to me based on the icon, because the icon shows him covered in ice. So we might have ourselves a volcanery, icy, controlly Barioth, which is very interesting to see indeed. But the question then, and I think perhaps it is the big question, what is he categorized as? Is it going to be a variant after Furious and Raging? Are we going to get yet another variant? That seems perhaps not the way to go. Perhaps then, is he a deviant? I doubt it. It would be weird to add that whole category of monster at this late stage. I wouldn't be surprised if we never get deviants in the main game, but then again, I have been surprised before. But that, with subspecies already crossed off, leaves rare species. And I think rare species, the more that I consider it, makes a lot of sense. Because, stay with me here, we have 3 pseudo-wyverns in Iceborne. We have the trio, Tigrex, Nargacuga, and Barioth. Sorry, Giganox.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, sad egg-laying noises.
And these 3 are obviously, needless to say, very much loved. 2 of them flagships, and Barioth not far behind in how much he is adored as a monster. So, what do Nargacuga and what do Tigrex have? Well, they have rare species. They have Lucent Nargacuga, poison and invisibility. They have Molten Tigrex, blast and explosions, and much larger brute force. But Barioth doesn't have one. And the thing is, every single monster that has a subspecies does not have a variant. And Barioth has a subspecies, which would imply he's not getting a variant. Now, that doesn't need to be a hard and fast rule. That might be complete coincidence, but it does lend a tiny bit of credence, then, to this being, well, our first new rare species in Iceborne, and new rare species in a long while. So to me then, as they said in the little teaser trailer, that Alatreon is just the tip of the iceberg, and maybe that means, well, yeah, we're also doing Barioth, that's the whole thing, that's all we're implying here, but perhaps that means something deeper, because we know we're getting at least 2 more updates after Alatreon, and if they're all going to be double monster updates, what makes sense to me is this path going forward. Alatreon plus Barioth rare species, much icier from a much deeper part of the Hoarfrost Reach from this icy island. Perhaps Alatreon coming has what's awoken them, as what has freed, well, not freed them, but, you know, got them exploring where they wouldn't normally, because Alatreon is a walking apocalypse. He tears up the land, he completely destroys it with storms and fire and lightning, just passively. So if anything is going to disrupt the ecosystem and flush out as of yet undiscovered species, well, it's going to be an Alatreon having a flyby. So you have Alatreon with a Barioth. Next update, Fatalis, which I still believe we're going to get, and it makes sense to keep amping up the stakes now that we've already had 1 Black Dragon. Fatalis with Lucent Nargacuga, a Nargacuga rare species. Then, third and finally to round out Iceborne, a new original Black Dragon, which would definitely manage to top, at least in initial excitement, Alatreon and Fatalis, and then along with that, the third and final of the trio, Molten Tigrex, the Tigrex rare species. Now that would all very much be all neat, tied up in a bow, boom, done, 3 Black Dragons, along with a rare species for 3 of the most popular monsters. Alright, slam it home, jobs are good and everybody, off you go. But, you know, perhaps that is too neat, perhaps that is a little bit too optimistic, but I don't think it's completely impossible, I don't think it's completely out there. Triple Black Dragon along with triple rare species on 3 of the most loved monsters. I mean, that seems maybe a bit fanservice-y, but then again, what's wrong with that? What better way to round out Iceborne? Either way, this, to me, to put my money on it, I would say a rare species of Barioth to join good old Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos as the currently only ones in Iceborne, and it might imply a much bigger pattern going forward when it comes to updates. Of course, this could all be completely wrong, and it's just a Barioth that has been in ice for too long and is now a super cold, icy control-y variant Barioth. Maybe it had a fight with Velkhana and survived and, you know, was like, oh, cool, ice powers are cool, though then again that'd be more deviant-y, but you know what I'm saying. Perhaps it might just be very much normally, here's a Barioth variant, just like, you know, Brachydios got one and Rajang got one, and that's still cool, that's still awesome, but, you know, I like to think that perhaps it goes, well, a little bit deeper, well, into the iceberg they said that these guys are the tip of. But until then, let me know your thoughts, let me know what you think. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. A goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.